How well can its multiple stories be unlocked in 140 minutes? How's the movie aged well in the nearly 40 years since it came out? And will Borman include some really awkward sex thing? Not very, sort of, and yes.
Sort of a summation of my process for some of these theories. Yeah, hi, welcome. I'm just doing a real quick one since I got a really busy day today, and this is the main day that I can stream this week since what I'm doing is every other day I do something. But I am really excited to talk about this one. A friend of mine really wanted us to talk about really wanted me to talk about this one. So I decided that I would. This is going to be a relatively quick one. I am going to speed it up somewhat. Let me just go full screen. But just some summary. I was just looking at this one. I was like, okay, what do I do with this one? Because this is an automatic black victory. There is no way that the Greens can come back from this since they can't. They have no one spare to claim Aemond, and admittedly, Aemond claiming Vhagar in the original thing is really dumb. Like, how did he get to her without attracting any notice at all? No Kingsguard, no nothing. It's really dumb, honestly. But yeah. So, as usual, I just made this about Aegon, mainly because kind of like you can either really make it about Rhaenyra or Aegon, but one of the things about Rhaenyra is once she becomes king, and there aren't significant problems with her rule, she kind of becomes boring. And the main reason why, and honestly, I really struggle to wrap my head around how to make some of the events of the later Dance of the Dragons make sense, because they're incredibly stupid. Like, the Battle of the Gullet is so dumb. It's dumb beyond words. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, keeping Vhagar out of the picture. I think that it's not really. I don't know about temperament, since Balon the Brave is kind of a pushover loser, like his son Viserys. With some measure of activeness. Yeah, and then Tumbleton. There's no explanation of what is going on with the Dragon Seeds that made them switch sides to the losing side. Like, how did they even meet with Ormond? And then the Storming of the Dragon Pit is monumentally stupid. Like, just the fact that that works is so unbelievably contrived and stupid. And Aegon, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that they, I think, yeah, I think I decided to have Rhaena claim Vhagar because um, that just means that their auto gets more desperate. Oh, very cool. I did not write that one. Quaid did, so full kudos to him. He did a really good job. He always puts out good stuff. I'm really impressed by him. Yeah. 18 dragons at the end. They all dead. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is it's so frustrating, and yet George still forgot about Silverwing, Sheepstealer, and Cannibal. Cannibal, he just made up for Fire and Blood. He didn't exist previous to Fire and Blood. It's so dumb. Yeah, it's honestly, yeah, and yet Silverwing is still around, and I guess died of grief or something. Nobody knows. And yet we also have Morning, who hasn't died and was made up for Fire and Blood. And it's like, and we also have Sheeler, Sheepstealer mucking around, possibly even still alive into the main series. It's very, very frustrating, to say the least. But, yeah. But, yeah. Though Hugh has not turned traitor yet, just Ulf, which is weird. Again, I think this is unintentionally. Tom. Well, the problem is, and there's all. The problem is, even with it being a Tom Bombadil deal, it's kind of plot relevant that you have these 3 giant nukes roaming around, still around theoretically, that are. Oh, thank you. I didn't write that one. That was Quaid. Right now I am working on a couple. One is Daemon becoming king and Varys finding out about Jon. Yeah, it's so weird that he's this old ornery dragon that Vermithor could theorize that if Vermithor is like maybe of fairly similar size to Vermithor, maybe a little bit smaller, and yet he doesn't depopulate Dragonstone and just kill a bunch of dragons. He just eats hatchlings. Yeah, it makes the other 3 easier. What I'm trying to work on is I do think though that just because Daemon is king, he might actually at least try to make a kid with his wife because he has to. So we might be seeing the return of Artorias. I haven't, and possibly maybe even haven't. Well, the problem is we don't know anything about Varys's life because most of what Varys says is a lie. And in the Dance with Dragons epilogue, he actually has a much deeper voice, and he's been affecting the eunuch voice. So there is a slight theory that Varys isn't actually a eunuch. Littlefinger is a little bit easier because his life is much simpler. One of the things I would have to do is extrapolate how Littlefinger is going to die in the books, because I do not want to do the show. I will never use show info for characters that are still alive in the books. I'm not going to do that. I refuse. It's what I did. I deliberately chose not to do show Tyrion or show Jaime ending because I am honestly pissed by those endings, and I think that those the endings I came up with make more sense and are better. So, yeah. It is honestly surprising that nobody ever, like Aemond, never went to kill the cannibal. Possibly. Another possibility is he gets killed by the Lord's Paramount. That's one possibility. Since Miranda Royce is a spy. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's total. I think it makes sense. I'm just thinking it's interesting. Um, so I will say the last hot D theory of the we've already planned out our hot D theories for the month for the year, and I'll just let you know what they are now. We've got Daemon becoming king, and then Viserys marrying Rhaenys. Those are the two that are left over that are going to be coming out soon. I don't know. Varys actually doesn't seems to actually like wild cards. He actually benefits greatly from wild cards, and when you think about it, Littlefinger actually isn't really a wild card. Um, kind of. There's actually an interesting theory where Littlefinger just wants to put himself into a good position before the eventual Targaryen restoration. And um, Varys is actually just trying to instigate chaos throughout the realm currently. And Littlefinger just kind of possibly, yeah, I think he would. But I think that he would attack the Triarchy and probably be holding that area. Like he would get melee. He would just say, "Hey, Rhaenys, let's grab our dragons and just unleash fire and blood on them." So, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the main way that Damon's hand, I think that he would definitely make Corlys Valerian hand. He would not make Otto his hand, um, since Damon is a bit of a racist and he knows how rich Corlys Valerian is. I'm currently working out how to make him king. The main thing I've done so far is just have Viserys have dragon dreams about himself becoming king and saying, "Nope, I renounce my claim. I'm going off to Pentos. I am not dealing with this," which is kind of on brand for Viserys. Where it's just, "David, you be king." It's like, wait, what? No, wait. What do you mean? I thought you were going to be king. Nope, I'm going up to Pentos. I'm going to shack up with Emma and just stay there for the rest of my life. You handle this. That was my thought. It made the most sense, honestly. So the other alternative was just him dying, which kind of. One interesting thing about Damon is unlike Robert, he actually doesn't have any bastards, funnily enough. Despite him supposedly being a bit of a sex pest, uh, um, the problem with that is Rhaenyra is 8. Um, when her mom dies. Well, I've already written um Viserys having a dragon dream where he's like, nope, I renounce my claim. Like right before the Great Council, right before their dad dies. So Valerian rejects. Well, I'll show you what I have already of that. Little spoiler alert for you guys. So that's another way. That my problem isn't necessarily what is going to happen when is how he becomes king. That's not a problem. What I'm thinking is, kind of, I've already got about a couple pages written. I just wrote that yesterday. Kind of about 700 words in. Yeah, that's another way. Why? Why? He's already got Caraxes, and Valerian has got um Valerian dies before Daemon can become king. He's already got Caraxes by this point of the story. So that would be cool, but yeah, Valerian has gross those gross fireworms living inside of him. He didn't really die of old age. He died because he had parasites that were eating him up from the inside, and he was on his last legs. So might be interesting, but I don't know. It's mainly just they don't know that it is. Well, that's the thing. Nobody knows that he has fireworms. Nobody knows that he has the fireworms. That's the thing. If they did, they would have put him in. They would have fixed him much earlier. Yeah. Yeah, like what's his bucket? Like Ned and Kat worked out pretty well. Robert and Cersei don't really work out. Daemon and Rhea are the exception, yeah. Yeah, Robert and Cersei, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, it is very ironic. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. 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 Yeah, so but yeah, currently the thought is Damon and Rhea Royce have to okay. You messed up Sarah and Allison character? How so? Also, my thought is Sarah. Sarah is a horny, is just kind of a bitter sex lady who sees sex as power, and Alicent before her is just a regular girl. Before Otto kind of changes her and makes her more bitter and awful. Yeah. The only thing that we have about Sarah is that she is very sexually active, and yeah, since Otto is incredibly ambitious, and she is at least a part of the Old Town, at least a member of the conspiracy, because she is and a team of people. It's not just Alicent; it's a whole team. Like Sir Eric Cargyle is clearly in on it because he is the person that finds Rhaenyra and Daemon together. But here's the thing: Daemon never deflowered Rhaenyra, and Daemon likely didn't deflower Rhaenyra because if he had, he would not have been able to get back into his brother's good graces. There's no way he could do that because that's really important. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. One of the things about guns in canon, possibly. I don't know. We'll have to see. It is kind of funny that in 8,000 years, there's been no technological process. Think what happened. Oh yeah, true, yeah. But David didn't think it. Yeah. Wildfire. Yeah. Grief fire. Yeah. Yeah, that could be good. Yeah, well, something that might be funny is if Daemon decides to do what Maegor did, and yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a pretty predominant theory. One of them, there's an interesting one that Laris was really cheese in the blood and cheese combo, and but I think that's just Preston Jacobs wanting twists for the sake of twists, since he kind of likes that sort of thing. Yeah, yeah. Theoretically, that was interesting. Okay. Well, we've been chatting for a little bit, but let's kind of get into the commentary now that we've caught up.
Theories. Garbage art theorist. Links in the description. Aemond creeps into the dragon stable, eyes fixed on Vhagar. He wanted that dragon. He would have that dragon. Abruptly, he feels a tugging on his sleeve. The bastard, Joffrey Strong, had his small hand on his arm, trying to hold him back. Irritated,
Yeah.
Aemond pushes the boy back into a pile of dragon droppings. Aemond rushes towards the old she-dragon, eager to claim his prize. But before he can get close, Vhagar turns her head toward him, lips peeling back from her fangs. Then she settles back down. Aemond frowns and tries to get on the dragon's back, but Vhagar shifts away from him. Irritated, Aemond continues trying to get onto the dragon, but she just turns away and growls angrily. Aemond sags. The dragon had rejected him. His family was never going to let him live this down. He had been bold enough to approach Vhagar, but he'd failed. No, he would not fail. Aemond grabs the runs of Vhagar's saddle and tries to climb onto her back. Vhagar's eyes open as she roars in anger at the little insect who dared approach her. Aemond can only scream before Vhagar unleashes a jet of fire. Joffrey stares in horror as Vhagar bathes the older boy in flame hot enough to melt armor. Aemond screams and falls to the ground, thrashing and writhing in pain. Joffrey runs off to try to find someone, anyone who could help. Rhaenyra frowns when her son runs in, babbling and yelling. She's burning him over and over again.
Burning who? Joff, sweetly, what's going on?
At last, Joffrey cries that it was Aemond. Vhagar had burned him. Rhaenyra's eyes widen in horror, and she calls for the guards to investigate. Before the guards get there, Aegon, Jace, and Luke go down to the pen to investigate the roars, only to find Aemond's blackened, burned body. As soon as Luke sees it, he runs to a bucket and empties his stomach, while Aegon and Jace stare in horror at his remains. They shouldn't have teased him for not having a dragon. Maybe if they hadn't, he would actually be alive. Taking long breaths, Jace and Aegon clasp hands and pledge that they won't let dragons fight dragons under any circumstances. When Alicent finds out her son is dead, she is...
Yeah, so this, I could have made that a dialogue, but I was like, I kind of want to I didn't want to keep the voices down. I knew something was wrong. I like that. That's funny. But yeah, so one of the things about Fire and Blood that is weird is that they make these two boys, is that they say that they had animosity against each other. But the problem is they don't put a cause, especially since they have not robbed their birth. Since they claim that they robbed their birthright, but the problem is Rhaenyra's the heir, and she can claim her heir. So they haven't really robbed anything, really. The animosity really should only come to pass after Aemond loses his eye. And they're putting the cause after the reaction, which is an annoying thing. He needs to eat some nourishment, you know. But this, my thought was, Aegon, like, he's quite a bit older than the other boys. But I don't think that he would dislike them. And my thought while writing this is, let's just have Aemond and the strong boys like see the burned corpse and be like, oh. And then this bit with Alicent. Amelia is one of her few lines, but I think it works because she's kind of right here, where Viserys is a terrible dad to his young kids. Well, here's the thing. There's a couple of factors with that. One is that it is theoretically dangerous for her to claim dragons. There's also the fact of she needs to make sure they're of their legitimacy. And all of the kids, she puts cradle eggs in. That's actually more dangerous than that. That's just as dangerous as them claiming Silverwing or Vermithor, because of the fact that by hatching four new dragons, those dragons are eventually going to be very large, and that will drastically increase dragon population. It's why a lot of people theorize that Rhaenyra was specifically targeted by the Old Town Conspiracy, because of the fact that if she stays queen and her bloodline continues, that means that the Dragon X gene, where higher levels of dragon hatching happens. So it's much more so it is much easier. Yeah. That's why the Targaryens don't keep recycling their dragons. Yeah, they need to increase the dragon population so that they can have more large beasts. It's one of the things that I take into account with the John and Hot D Part 2, which will be coming out soon.
Viserys attempts to comfort her, but she can only scream at him.
This is your fault. If you hadn't mocked him, he wouldn't have tried this folly, and now he's dead.
Viserys flinches and backs away, knowing his wife was correct. He had told the boy he should claim a dragon if he were bold enough. Now his son had paid the price. Shaking, Viserys retreats to allow her to weep in solitude. Seeing how close they had been to having the power of Vhagar slip from their fingers, Daemon encourages Rhaena to claim Vhagar.
Well, I know, it's just like part of the thing is George wrote it into Fire and Blood, where a lot of the actions here's the thing. It's basically they are clearly trying to, it may not be that they're trying to kill the dragons, it may just be that they want to just get power by using the dragons, and the Otto's kind of a rogue agent. But either way, Otto is clearly working against Rhaenyra from the beginning in a way that Rhaenyra is not really working against anybody. It's kind of one of the things where the Greens are the active members of the story and driving the plot for most of the story, whereas Rhaenyra is not. And they are the most aggressive. They've kind of and there's even stuff where there is some weird conspiracy going on to get Viserys on the throne as opposed to Rhaenys. And it's just like a lot of the events of the story don't make sense without it. I would say that she thought about Jaehaerys and her son because it was a better time, and she just married Viserys for political advantage. She didn't actually care about him. That's my thought. I don't think they control the faith in the Citadel, but there are times where most of the time a high tower is a high septon. That's fairly frequent. And a lot of times high tower allies are associated with the Citadel, like Lionel Strong and stuff like that. And it could just be that Otto went rogue. There's actually a neat video where they talk about how it might have been that the Maesters were kind of just egging on both sides in order to make them die. So it's possible. But yeah, I imagine that's just because it was purely political marriage. She just was a gold digger. That's it.
The girl is initially wary, but she remembered what her mother had told her about claiming the great dragon all those years ago. Rather than try claiming the dragon at the start, she spends time around Vhagar, letting the creature grow accustomed to her until finally she takes the dragon into the sky. Aemond's death particularly shakes Aegon and Helena. For the first time, Aegon actually tries to comforting his sister, letting her cry on his shoulder.
That depends on whether or not you want to do show or book, because in the book they are they are 10 years apart, which means that they're not really going to be friends. And the animosity between them is of a 18 to 19-year-old lady picking on a 10-year-old. So that's their dynamic in the books. They liked each other at first, but then Alicent shifted as soon as she became shifted to basically being a bully. I think they kind of liked each other, but I think that Alicent was being fake. Based on what she does later, I believe that Alicent was being fake. I think that, yeah, probably. The theory that I have heard is that the High Towers, basically what happened was, they got in, had kids with the Andals, got in, had kids with, made it so that Lord Hightower got rid of his first wife. Then they, then somehow all but the Andal-blooded kids died or were chased out. I do believe that they were friends mainly because they were contemporaries in age. That's my thought. Because Jason and Darren were milk brothers. They're basically the same age. And I just think that they would have been more contemporary since there's actually an interesting point brought up that Aegon and Aemond likely wouldn't have trained with the Strong Boys because of the age gap between them. So yeah, or it's a political thing. It's possible. That's a good point.
As he thinks about Aemon dying, it puts his own admittedly short life into perspective. Aemon had died trying to do something significant. He'd failed, but at least he tried. What had Aegon done? Also, a demonstration of what Vhagar had done put into perspective just how dangerous a dragon could be.
Yeah, it probably
Put
would.
forward they were to marry. Aegon flatly refuses.
It is my will that you should marry Aegon. This is not up for debate.
How about no?
You defy me.
Yes, I do. I'm not going to do that. Let Helena be happy with someone other than me. Besides, last I checked, I have a dragon, and you do not.
Aegon.
Just marry her off to Jace or something.
He is betrothed to Baela already.
Yes, so just have her marry both of them. Then the half-siblings can get married. Brilliant, right? Viserys stares at Aegon, blinking in consternation. Aegon shrugs and spreads his hands. The Faith is willing to let us get away with marrying brother to sister. Why not just tell them you have dragons? You can do whatever you want. Also, I'm not really intending to stay here in the capital anyway. I want to actually do something with my life. And that something doesn't involve getting married to my sister. Viserys sucks his teeth, then takes a long breath. Finally, he nods and waves Aegon out, feeling inordinately pleased with himself.
Yeah, except for Cat. I think one of the other problems is that there are no actual rituals. It's just kind of vibes religion, for lack of a better term. It just kind of exists. There aren't really like rituals, mass, or anything else. They just vaguely pray, which kind of just goes to show that George doesn't understand mechanically how religion works. Like aside from just the how belief works, he does not understand mechanically what religions do in order to keep propagating themselves. I think to a certain extent the Hightowers actually do believe that they do. Catelyn believes. She's one of the big believers, but I don't think that anybody else believes as much as Cat. And with the old gods, yeah, it doesn't exist. But going back to this, one of the things I just wanted to do was Aegon was basically the Targs. Yeah, part of the problem is it's just the Faith doesn't, mainly because I'm just thinking, I'm like, they kind of don't have any rabble rouse. Well, kind of here's the thing. Why would I kind of just don't understand why they would rebel against a polygamous union. I don't understand what. For me, it's just like I don't see why they would object to it. Especially since it's just the Faith militant is gone, and it seems as though they this could be as part of the process. Let me see. Yeah, they rebel on principle. Unless strictly forbidden. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a good look. Aren't willing to keep their word. Yeah. Yeah. True. I guess it could be just saying, hey, that was my grandfather's thing. That was my grandfather's agreement. I am not my grandfather. I need to fix this problem. Political expediency. I see. And mainly just I couldn't figure out another way to get rid of this problem. Yeah. You're getting us that this is what screws them over. Yeah, true.
himself, Aegon departs and finds Jace. When Jace hears that he's going to marry both Helena and Baela, his mouth falls open. Oh, don't look so glum, old boy. It'll be lovely. Or maybe not. I have no idea. Either way, I'm off. Jace blinks and asks where Aegon is going, but his uncle just ruffles his hair and walks down to the dragon pit to take Sunfire into the sky. He knew of at least one place where a dragon would be useful. When Lord Corlys sees Sunfire land on Buzzdown, his eyes widen in shock and a small bit of horror as the crown prince nonchalantly waves at him. Ahoy there! I think it's the term you seafaring chaps use. I'm here to help.
What the hell are you planning at, lad?
It's quite simple. I'm looking to make a name for myself. Do something at least somewhat significant. To that end, here I am.
Are you just using this as a sardonic humor to get away from your brother's passing?
Maybe. Do you care that much?
About your grief? Not really. Your effectiveness is what concerns me.
Sunfire and I shall be almost as deadly as Daemon and Caraxes. You have my word.
Have you any idea what battle looks like? The burning bodies, the hacked and mutilated corpses, the screams?
No, I haven't. But in all seriousness, I haven't done much and likely wouldn't get to do, well, anything if I stayed in King's Landing. This seemed the place to come, and it gets me out of marrying my sister. You'll be happy to know that your granddaughter is going to have a sister queen.
Wait, explain.
Oh, right. Jace is going to marry my sister and Baela. That way we can satisfy both sides, which is rather important since Rhaenyra and Vhagar... I hope you don't mind. Corlys just stares at the young, extremely flippant and annoying young prince who had decided to foist himself upon. In the past few minutes, Aegon had frustrated him considerably, but he needed help. Massaging his temples, Corlys agrees. For the first few years, Aegon acts as a scout, periodically attacking the...
Yeah, so a couple of things here. One was with the bit with the conversation with Viserys when he says, I decided to put in the brilliant when he just says something about his own ideas. Brilliant, right? And I really like putting that in as a little affectation of his because it was something that Tom Glencarney did in the show, which is one of the few things I like. But then he just decides, hi, I am now going to annoy you, but also help you. How's it going? And Corlys just being nonplussed and annoyed by him. Because honestly, one of the things I like doing, I like writing annoyance humor where where one character just singularly frustrates another character. I really enjoy writing stuff like that, mainly because that's my sense of humor. But and I also just like the idea of him saying two idiots. He needs to do that pouty face when he says it. But like, I'm alive, imbecile. I need to. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're honestly gonna screw it up. And I'm probably going to be yelling this when it happens.
And I swear to God, if you come within my arm's reach, I will strangle each and every motherfucking one of you in front of the goddamn camera, and they can take me to jail for all I care. You filthy sons of bitches. I hope you all die of herpes. Do you understand? You can't even die of herpes, and I hope you do.
Maybe they could, like, get it on their lungs.
Worst fucking movie in the history of movies.
I will probably be saying, yeah, I think it might be my favorite line in the show, just period. There's a couple of good ones though. What is it? The gods have ever made a man who lacked the patience for absolute power. That's a decent line. But yeah, I will definitely be yelling that quite frequently at the moment that the thing happens. Oh, the dragons are surprised at both characters. Yeah. One second, my headphones are being weird. I can still read the chat, so that's why. Oh, the slice of life moments that they get. Man, yeah, it's so weird that they decided to make him like that. It's very weird that they decided to go with the mushroom deal. Well, we kind of did that one with was it the John going back and John going back to House of the Dragon. Yeah, it's such a good moment, honestly. Yeah, yeah, like Silverwing and Vermithor just kind of being an old married couple, even though their writers probably did not like each other very much, and we're just kind of married for convenience. Um, Early installment messiness. There, I actually just think that they just lack coordination. I think that's the main thing, and they just kind of throw stuff in because I think all of the problems that we're seeing in House of the Dragon currently are because they did not establish the characters very well in season one. I think that's because they decided to put Viserys as the main character, and they didn't actually have a plan. And even season one has a number of problems where there are actually basic continuity problems between episodes, and it feels like characters change very quickly for very little reason between episodes. But yeah, I hate Condal and Hess. I think they are morons. I really do not think they are mentally competent people. Condal, at least, is a better interview than Hess. Hess is a PR nightmare. She honestly has the worst quotes. I'm kind of amazed that they let her out in public because she just continuously says really stupid things. And it's very, very frustrating, to say the least. But yeah, let's keep going.
At Anchor, when Sunfire grows large enough, he becomes more bold and aggressive. As he scorches his enemies, Aegon finds himself remembering Aemon's burned body more and more. Every time the memories rise, Aegon pushes them down. Often, he'll sit with Corlys, learning as much as he can from the old mariner. Corlys sees the young prince's interest and does his best to instruct him. He also recounts stories of his journeys across the world, Shai, E.T., and all the rest.
On my fourth voyage, I went deep into the jungles of ET, exploring to find basilisks to find and harvest their venom. In the depths was a ruined city. What was in the city? There had to have been something there. Indeed. I went in with a group of men, and we found that it was the home to an ambush of tigers. These creatures had terrorized the locals for years, and made the city their den. We killed all the tigers, but not before they'd slain almost all of my men, save for only me and Vaemond. Their pelts made a very fine prize. I still have one of them on Driftmark. I shall have to show it to you when the war is over. Indeed. Speaking of ending the war, might we go to get help from the free cities that oppose the Triarchy? Volantis got their asses thoroughly spanked by the Three Daughters, so perhaps they might give us troops and support. That might not be a bad idea. You can go there as our envoy without risking being captured. Can you keep things under control without me? Careful, boy. Don't make me keyhole you.
Aegon and Corlys share a laugh before shaking hands. When Aegon arrives, the Archons are only too happy to welcome.
Yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to do here is just kind of have a moment where one of the things about the House of the Dragon is they don't really have characters just kind of relaxing together. They just kind of have like just people like actively in a plot for the most part. The only thing I can think of is Rhaenyra being taken out on the town by Daemon. Yeah, Hess. I just listen, like going through some of Hess's interviews. It's just like you're kind of dumb. Yeah, studios. Yeah, they see, which is really really frustrating. Honestly, it's very 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 annoying to say the least. Older Sarah's easily show more depth as opposed to the manor. Yeah, yeah. She just I like older Sarah as well. Where she's kind of just gotten past her wild child years, and now she's just kind of gotten a chance to settle down, have her life, and then do stuff. I really do. I agree that they should be more animated stuff. It would save a whole lot of effort. Honestly, I really don't get why, especially because it's more costly. I think maybe it's just because they don't believe that it's prestige enough. That's my thought process, at least, because that's the deal. Is Corlys reborn with all his memories? Okay. I would be down. I would be interested. One of the things that you got to keep in mind though is that we have the Howdy. Yeah, and I think also it's action has a measure of um, respectability that animation does, even though 2D animation has primarily become adult entertainment, where like Vox Machina, um, uh, uh, Blood of Zeus, a few other things. Yeah, architecture very much has the same warp logic. It's very frustrating. But yeah, I wish that they would start that they could do some animated stuff, mainly because it would just save on budget, and but I think it's just they just don't see the ability to. It's very very annoying, very sad. But yeah, what can you do? But with this, I just wanted to have a little scene where Corlys and Aegon just kind of discuss, and then also figure out use this as a means of bringing in Sarah because it works out. It actually makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of weird that they never do this in canon. That they never try to bring in Volantis, because Volantis would hate the three daughters because of the fact that they got beaten by them a couple decades earlier. Oh, that would be great. I like Gigi, but I like Anna Flamma. I like Gigi, but I like Anna Flamma just and Neil Illustrator a bit more than I like them. I like Gigi. Like I do like Gigi, but and she does and he or she does very good work, but I just like Neil Illustrator just a bit more. Like Neil Illustrator is so talented. Like they do great work. But I also wanted to take the story about the tigers. That one's actually taken from the animated Marco Polo movie. I don't know if this actually happened to Marco Polo in his adventures that he was attacked by tigers. I've kind of given a lot of happy family series with this. Ooh, I probably do. I do like Mortius and Casper. I love those guys. They are really funny. I really really love those guys. Oh, get in the water. Okay. Okay. I need to see that. I've seen some of their stuff. Like I've seen their thing with Anafama and the one of the people that did a Love in Paradise one, but I haven't seen all of them, so I'll have to do that. Okay, I'll definitely have to. But the tiger thing, I actually I didn't know that you called an ambush of tigers. I didn't know that was called what they were called. And then Groggy brought it up, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll use that. So, so I fully admit I have not listened to the whole thing in full. I've listened to a few songs here and there as they have come out. I think it's more just like I have a few songs smattered throughout. Like I like Get in the Water and 600 Strike as a pairing that I'll sometimes listen to. I really like Thunder Underbringer. It's more just like I like songs from it. I do like Puppeteer and a little bit of One Wrong Move and Other Ways of Persuasion. But I really like the Ithaca, more songs from the Ithaca. I think I like the most songs out of the Ithaca saga. Well, no, the Vengeance saga. I think it's Vengeance saga. I can't remember which Wisdom saga, because I consistently listen to Legendary. I like listening to Will Be Fine. I have actually seen Neil 600 Strike. That's the one that I've seen where he actually got Luke Holt on to do some original dialogue. I quite enjoy that one. I also like what is it? I like Love in Paradise and God Games. I really like those. So I think that it would be that particular saga. I would like to do that one. I don't know how we would do that because one of the problems is Visenya, like Daenerys is 13, not 15 or 16. Yeah, Hold Them Down. Yeah, that one's some rough material to do. When you actually yeah, Noe was brave enough to have that conversation. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody is. But with this, I just wanted to have a little bit of a Marco Polo reference, as well as just have Aegon and Corlys just kind of be kind of buddies, and him kind of taking Aegon under his wing and bringing him, kind of teaching him some maturity, and at least to be efficient and effective. And then Aegon is kind of taking some of what Corlys has taught him and saying, hey, why don't we make an alliance with these people? They don't like our enemies, so they should be willing to help us. And he's like, you're actually right. Let's try that. And since unlike a ship, he can just fly up and around, at least to Volantis, and that's when he meets his dear granny. So, and yeah, I know the Sarah Targaryen as Alicent's mom is a little bit tinfoil, but I like it anyway. Especially like George, like there's a lot of tinfoil stuff in the Song of Ice and Fire that is weird. Prophecies and Dragon's dreams interspersed with memories. I would like that. And, well, I think Cersei would definitely go for the nuclear option, but then people would hate her and try to overthrow her, and she might have to worry about assassins killing her. That's my thought, at least. I find it funny, yeah. Screw with Corlys and Daemon, yeah. See, with all the... Yeah, since... I don't think she cares, but mainly that's one of the reasons why Cersei is dumb. Like, Cersei, when you get into her head, Cersei, her big problem is that she sees information fairly correctly, but then she, one, trusts the wrong people, and two, takes the exact wrong takeaways. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. That's why she goes with the nuclear option. Since Cersei's more active than Rhaenyra, and she's way crazier than Rhaenyra. And I am really excited to do the theory of what if Tywin died but Joanna survived. Forgive me, because I think a lot of the fandom thinks that Joanna Lannister is a good person. Yeah. Because Joanna Lannister, if she is somebody that Tywin Lannister would love, ironically, she is a horrible human being. She is going to be. She would actually be a bad person she would not like Tyrion. Yeah, they've ignored the consequences entirely, which is kind of dumb. But the thing about that I wanted to do is Stark relation is. It would be interesting if they found each other. That'd be interesting. And they get to know each other. I'd be interested in writing that. I'd do that. But that's kind of one of the things I want to do with Joanna Lannister. I think I'm going to write her as a bad person because the thing about Tywin Lannister, if you make Tywin Lannister laugh and that you are unambiguously adored by Tywin Lannister and you rule over him, that does not mean you would accept Tyrion. You might make him into a more effective person, but you're not going to like him because Joanna Lannister, I think that people have the wrong impression of her, where they think that she was. Here's the thing. I actually watched a very interesting video where it's like she is probably like Tywin. Like I think that she would be Tywin's partner in his evil. And since we don't necessarily know much about her, but it's more likely that she was the Machiavellian politician more than Tywin, and that Tywin was the Bethany Risewell. Well, I don't think that Bethany Well, my understanding was I think that was just an arranged marriage because and let me see. My thought is that Tywin specifically chose Joanna, and Tywin wouldn't choose someone who wasn't like him. Yeah, I think that he would have a similar interaction. Yeah. Yeah, since let me see, Joanna Lannister. Yeah, we don't really know much about her, but she's his trusted counselor, and that Tywin ruled the Seven Kingdoms as his hand, but he was ruled at home by his lady wife. Well, is the most well, it's not that Littlefinger slept with him. It's breath in my mind. I still love her. Yeah, I like her. Frozen fish lady. But yeah, since David would definitely be incredibly chauvinistic toward it would basically be like, all right, tit for tat. You hate me, I don't like you either. I think that to a certain extent she would definitely be my thought with Joanna Lannister is that she is a smarter version of Tywin. Like she is Tywin, but she's smart, and she's a bad person, and that she is very more intelligent. I have to agree with him. Yeah, since he's basically just going, all right, I don't like you either, and he's just going to be. And I don't think he doesn't really say that Littlefinger slept with his wife. He just says Littlefinger claims to have slept with your wife and wants to sleep with your wife. Yeah, true. Yeah. All right, let's keep this thing going.
him, treating him to feasts and other such activities. To his surprise, a richly dressed elderly woman approaches him. When he asks who she is, she smiles and pats his cheek.
Darling, I'm your long-lost great-aunt Sarah. You're my brother Balon's grandson. I saw your Uncle Daemon a few years ago with that pretty Valerian girl of his. Are they still married?
No, I'm sorry, but she's dead, and he has married my half-sister.
Well, the gods are cruel. I quite like Lena. She had a fire in her, very much like her mother, Rhaenys. Your mother is Alicent Hightower, is that right?
Yes, I am. Why do you ask?
Sarah's eyes light up, and she invites him to a private meeting. Aegon frowns, but he accepts. When they're alone, Sarah takes his hands.
There is something that I would like to tell you, and you must keep it to yourself for the time being. You are my grandson. Your mother is my daughter.
I think it would have been remarked upon that my grandfather had married or even slept with a Targaryen princess.
Who says any of this was public knowledge? It was their price for getting me out.
Price? What price? I'm thoroughly confused.
I had a bit of a scandal involving a fool and 3 boys.
That sounds like the beginning of quite a filthy joke.
It turned out to be a joke on me since my father killed one of my lovers in a duel and sent the others to the wall while I was holed up in the Starry Sept. Otto Hightower and his friends in the Citadel got me out, and in exchange for a child that he passed off as his own legitimate daughter, he let me go off to Essos.
And do you have proof of this? Why would he want to do this?
In my blood, sweetly. They wanted dragons blood in the family.
Yeah.
For what, I am not sure, but considering you have a dragon, it seems that they were somewhat successful.
Aegon's mind reels. If what she said was true, Otto Hightower was involved in a decades-long conspiracy. For what, he did not know, but something was going on here. After getting his footing back, Aegon offered.
Yeah, so I feel like this. So as Yahia said, yeah, I heard she's a bad mom. Yeah, Sarah's kind of an awful mom, and we also see a little bit of that in John Reborn and Howdy, where I was like, yeah, let's just take the idea of he's Sarah's son, especially because he can go into the action a little bit earlier if he's Sarah's son. I think that would be interesting because I think that Aerys wanted Joanna Lannister more than anybody else. Possibly. We don't really know of that many Blackfires. Sarah is the main one, though I guess Sarah's mom, theoretically, since Meleys the Monstrous didn't have kids, so it might have been gotten rid of Meleys' brother's kids or something along those lines. We'll have to figure it out. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to do here is just Sarah show kind of a different side. I wanted to have him kind of have it be a very gray situation where Rhaenyra is clearly taking an inordinate amount of pleasure out of trying to humiliate Otto, and he's trying not to give her the satisfaction until she threatens his son. Which, there should be. So, looking at it, because we do have a plan for what if Aerys did not go mad. That one is in the till for later, and I'm going to be writing that one. Where is it? Where is it? Since we are going, I don't know if we're going to be doing like, yeah, that'd be more horrifying. Yeah. Let me actually see. Aries 11:10. Yeah, 11:10 is when it's scheduled. So, yeah, we do have it on our radar for Aerys not going mad. We have it on the schedule. But with this, I just wanted to have kind of explain the conspiracy for those who aren't aware, and talk about, the Targaryens, they don't really show affection to their kids public or trust them completely. Yeah. Well, depends on the Targaryen king, because Aenys definitely did. Aenys was definitely a good dad to his kids. Same with Darren the Good. Yeah, he was a terrible king, but a good dad. There's also Baylor Breakspear, good dad. Maker's an okay dad. I think let me think. Others, I think Aegon the Fifth was a pretty good dad as well. Bass cheerleader for his kids and have sing it. Yeah, I would definitely agree. And then yeah, well, dad and me is a good mom. Yeah, she's a good mom, but a terrible king considering her kids turned out really well. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he messed up his two oldest sons and alienated his third. Yeah, he just kind of realized, oh, yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, that's fair. And then Dunk is functionally Egg's dad for the rest of his life. Yeah, he probably would have. Yeah. But with this one, I just wanted to have a little bit where Aegon actually has a decent mom figure who actually cares about him, where he and she and she actually fosters some talents of his. Yeah, probably. Yeah, since Brendan and Shiara, like, that whole relationship is toxic. Yeah, daddy issues for the win, I guess. Yeah. And then from here, we just have the Aegon show. Yeah, let's keep going.
A hug to his grandmother. Could you tell me more? I'd love to hear all about my real grandmother's life.
Yeah.
I honestly have never really had a grandmother before, so this is a novel experience. Sarah's eyes mist slightly as she accepts the hug, leaning her head against his shoulder and patting him on the back. Swallowing, she dabs at her eyes and smiles.
I would love to, Aegon. Come with me. It's a long story.
Aegon listens avidly to all she's done after the Tom Turnip incident and to leaving Lys. After a few weeks in Valantis, he manages to secure funds.
Yeah, the kind of earlier comment on that, I really liked just kind of throwing in the 3 lovers and a 3 lovers and a fool. That sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, of a filthy joke. He's like, And I just had to put that in because that was hilarious.
In troops for the war in the Stepstones, Sarah adding the largest contribution and helps in convincing the Archons to lend their support. As Sarah talks with the Archons, Aegon quickly picks up the tricks she uses. He learns it's not about forcing people using greater power.
I don't think we'll actually do that. We don't do crossovers.
In exchange for what you want, or using what they want as pressure points to get them to capitulate. It was very different than the education he got in King's.
The closest you might get is getting a few kills from faceless men. That's the closest you're going to get.
Landing, but perhaps he could actually make use of it. When Aegon returns to Bloodstone with new troops and gold, Corlys raises his eyebrows in surprise when his protege lands his dragon next to him.
This is quite unexpected. Well done. Well, I had a bit of help. From who? You might want to sit down, possibly have a drink. I am aquiver with anticipation. Shock me. So, I met my grandmother. Wait, Alyssa Targaryen and Carla Hightower died before you were born. My real grandmother, my mother's mother, Sarah Targaryen. Your daughter got passed over for Otto Hightower's bastard with a Targaryen princess.
Corlys' face shifts from shocked confusion to anger within an astonishingly small window of time. Expression thunderous, Corlys stalks over to the wine cabinet, pours a pair of cups, and then shoves one into Aegon's chest.
Start talking.
As Aegon lays out everything, Corlys' grip on his cup tightens, only periodically drinking. As Aegon concludes, Corlys has to restrain himself from crushing his cup.
This is an absurdity. Imagine my surprise when I found out that my mother is a bastard. It really makes the whole Strong scandal quite amusing. So, Otto conspired to put his bloodline with the royal line, even getting Sarah out of Old Town. But why did he do that? Just to ensure his grandchildren had dragons? That's my assumption. And he did have friends that we need to worry about. Indeed. So, are you meaning to turn against your grandfather? Not at this time, but I'd like to figure out the plan. I like you, Corlys, and I like your grandsons well enough. What about this? You and me have a spot of play acting, so we can find out what kind of scheme my grandfather is hatching. I'd also like to see if my mother knows. Now, that is a conversation I really want to see. I may just take my aged grandmother to see my mother and grandfather. That I definitely want to see. How shall we do it?
After days of discussion, Aegon.
Yeah, 3 betrayals, 3 Tar Conquerors, 3 yeah, it's so weird. It's really weird that they have that as the coincidence. But with this conversation, I was just like, okay, let's just have Corlys crash out over the fact that he's like, wait, my daughter got passed over for a bastard? Are you joking? And I just felt like just having that reaction where he's like, "Oh, I definitely want to see that I definitely want to see that conversation. Oh, I definitely want to see that conversation." Just kind of have a little bit of, since Corliss doesn't really get his time to shine or be funny in these, but I think that you can do a lot of character-based humor with our ephophile Mariner on occasion. Since Corliss is an ephophile, considering he was 37 when he married his 16-year-old wife. It's so gross and creepy. Yeah. Okay. Possibly. Okay, I like that idea. I'll have to put them. I'll have to do that someday. We kind of had that a little bit in the Gregor Clegane being the epitome of knighthood video. We might be able to do something similar. Yeah.
And Corliss decided on a plan. With the combined power of this sea snake and Volantis fleet, they managed to fight the Triarchy to a standstill and even burn the enemy's fleet at anchor.
Yeah.
Once the Triarchy are dealt with, Aegon goes to Volantis and asks Sarah if she would be willing to come home to see King's Landing.
Yeah, it's very much a I think yeah, there's kind of a funny thing where it's very much a, I have a big head and little arms. I'm not sure how well this plan was thought out. Yeah. There is a theory that Alicent seduced Viserys and had sex with her, and he claimed her maidenhead, and so in order to not besmirch her honor, he what is it? Married her in order to preserve her honor, kind of similar to how Robb Stark did. So it's one thought that people had. I have a big, no, it's really thought out. Yeah. And then I just kind of like the idea of Otto and Sarah. Yeah, would be having a fair baby would be redundant anyway. Yeah. Yeah, true.
And Helena and Alicent, Sarah considers, then she accepts on one condition. She gets to fly with Aegon and Sunfire to the capital. When Aegon helps Sarah onto Sunfire, the older lady begins to tear up.
Are you all right, grandmother?
I never thought I'd ride a dragon with my grandson.
Yeah.
I honestly never thought I'd get to ride a dragon again. My few happy memories with my father were him taking me into the air on Vermithor.
Smiling, Sarah puts her arms around Aegon as he and Sunfire take off towards King's Landing. On the way home, Aegon visits Driftmark to show Sarah where Aemond had died. Swallowing, Sarah goes on her knees and touches the spot, stroking the still scorched ground with her fingertips. Finally, she stands and places her fingers against her mouth, then her heart.
Is that some Valentine funeral rite?
No, just me. I did it when I lost my two oldest in the war against the Triarchy. When I found out they died, I went to where they'd fallen, so that I could touch where they'd lived last, to let their spirits know that their name would still be on my lips and in my heart.
Aegon slowly nods and kneels down so he can mimic Sarah's little ritual. Once it's done, Aegon puts his arms around his grandmother, who leans against him. They don't cry, only silently pay their respect to the fallen. When they arrive in King's Landing, Sarah takes a few hours to explore some of her old haunts, including the inn where Tom Turnip incidents had happened. When the old woman enters the chambers, Viserys frowns, then raises his eyebrows.
Aunt Sarah, you're still living?
That is for your also warm welcome, your grace.
I'm just surprised. You didn't come to the Great Council, only your sons. It seemed like you were done with the Seven Kingdoms.
I don't think my father would have liked to see me. Besides, there was no chance of me gaining any votes. Not with you having Hightower and Lannister Gold ready to throw around, and the whole troop of maesters and septons singing your praises by comparison to your child opponent. What was his name? Oh, right. Laenor Valerian.
Viserys glances at Sarah, who simply smiles as fake and innocence as Aegon has ever seen. While his father angrily tries to find words, Aegon starts considering which.
Yeah, so with this one, with this little bit here, what I wanted to do was just have a little piece of kind of, shall I say, saying that Aegon and his sisters stepped to Dragonstone predates. Yeah, that's actually pretty true. Okay, that's actually fair. That's actually fair. Oh, okay. It's a neat bit of trivia there. Neat bit of trivia there. Neat bit of trivia there, I think for sure. They just insisted polygamy and left them alone because they let them alone. Yeah, true. And Prayed the gods of old Valyria. Yeah, it's honestly, it's so freaking weird. Honestly, I don't understand what they were thinking. To be perfectly honest, what George's like whole deal is. It's so confusing, honestly. Um, but what can you do? And we just have the whole. Apparently, they converted sometime after Aenar. Yeah, that's super weird. Yeah, but one of the things I wanted to kind of go over with this scene is just kind of illustrate. Yeah, the Great Council's a mess, and it's kind of a sham. Just and doesn't make any sense. And kind of going up, Sarah. Just one of the things I wanted to do with Sarah is Sarah has a similar sense of humor to me, where she likes making people uncomfortable. Kind of in her story already. She is definitely trying to screw around with her father when she realizes she can't get her way, and just provoke him. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, fair. Oh yeah, for sure. And with this, Sarah just gets to make things a little bit uncomfortable for Viserys. Uh, when you actually get down to the nitty gritty of examining Jaehaerys, he's actually not a good king. He actually is kind of just a scared little boy in an adult man's body. Oh no, I don't expect you to. It's still really funny though. It's still really amusing though. It's freaking hilarious. It's honestly freaking hilarious. Um, but one of the things that I wanted to illustrate here is, as well as I have that little story of her sons dying. Yeah, it's still a good move. Yeah, he's definitely an effective monarch. Like his rule was very prosperous and very effective, but he himself is not a good person. And he's not a good king. He's very much a guy who basically used a medieval protection racket as a way of or medieval intimidation racket as a way of ensuring that he was able to keep power. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm glad that it was good. Yeah, I didn't write that. That was Quaid. But yeah, I like Quaid's work. He's always a good egg. He really does great stuff. Did a lot of the heavy lifting. Bastard came and he looked like Jaehaerys. Yeah, there was a whole honestly weird ass thing, honestly, where it's honestly just super weird. Yeah, the whole thing's honestly super weird. He does, but his first impulse is always to threaten people with Vermithor. That's pretty much his main task. When we examine what he does with his various his various actions. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Oh yeah, I would proposing Danny being. I would. Yeah, I think that he would she would go with Daemon Blackfire. I think that she would be completely smitten with him. He is a bit older, but I think that since Daenerys has kind of a weakness for bad boys, that's just kind of one of her main weaknesses. She Drogo and what's his bucket. Oh yeah, she definitely has a thing for older dudes. Oh yeah, she definitely has a thing for older dudes. Roguish, handsome, roguish older boys. Yeah, and should definitely since Daemon Blackfire is that guy, which is most 13-year-old girls. Yeah, 13 to 15-year-old girls. They're kind of it's kind of their jam, really. Let's see what time is it. Dear. Okay, we gotta get moving.
He'd said he hadn't known that bit about the Great Council. This was coming across more and more like a conspiracy. Was his father in on it? No. Considering all that his mother and grandfather had done to try and discredit Rhaenyra, while Viserys had defended her at every turn, he had to find out what was going on. Enjoying the story? You can listen to these on the go. Search Dark Theorist or Three-Eye Theorist on your favorite podcast service. Links are in the description. Now, back to it. The next person they go to see was Alicent herself. When Sarah is introduced, Alicent's eyes light up with interest.
Princess Sarah, I've always been interested to meet you, but have never had the opportunity. Your father often remarked that I resembled you and sometimes called me by your name by mistake.
My father remembered me. Well, I'm not surprised. I made him very, very angry by the end.
Can you tell me more about your time in Essos? I'd be intrigued to hear everything.
I would love to, my dear. Come, let's take a walk in the gardens.
As the two ladies walk away, Aegon notices Sarah glancing at Alicent with a proud but sad expression on her face. Periodically, Sarah will reach out to touch her daughter's shoulder as if she wanted to embrace her but had to restrain herself. Someone who was less than pleased to see the princess return.
Yeah, one of the things that I just wanted to do here is kind of illustrate some of Sarah's horrible thing. Yeah, that made him a monster and fool. Yeah. And just with this scene, I just wanted to have a long moment where Sarah gets to chat with her daughter and have little bits, pieces of emotion there where she just feels so just kind of melancholy and sad, because she is I think that this is kind of just the last years of her life. She's kind of mellowed out, and now she just kind of gets to be the kind of the older, kind of just able to be, has lost quite a few things. Killer and get caught. Sarah, I actually decided not to, because it isn't necessarily in Otto's interest. But it is interesting to think about for sure. But one of the things that I just wanted to do here is just have some confrontations between kind of Sarah and other people, because I think that's fascinating to have a kind of a wild card character like that, who is admittedly somewhat mellowed out, but there's still kind of elements of I want to mess with people.
At Otto Hightower, Aegon watches his grandfather very carefully, and though the older man does a very good job of hiding it, there is a great deal of discomfort when he looks at Sarah. Eventually, Otto invites the princess to the Tower of the Hand. When Aegon notices his grandmother making her way toward the tower, the princess pulls the Ratcatcher aside and asks for the passage to the Hand's quarters. Aegon makes his way up and carefully listens to the conversation.
It's been a very long time, Sarah. I had thought our agreement was that you stay in Essos.
When our grandson invited me here to get to see my home after all this time, how could I refuse?
Do not say that so casually.
Who is here to listen to the fact that you and I were lovers all those long years ago, Otto?
I loved my wife.
And yet, in order to further your ambitions, you fucked me. How does that square? What do you really love, Otto? I'll tell you. It's power and authority.
I'm loyal to the realm. This was the best way to ensure the realm is stable.
Oh, right. Our children on the Iron Throne, which, while incredibly amusing to me as a prospect, is a dangerous proposition, one that I do not think you're prepared for.
Plans are in motion to ensure my aims are met.
What dragons do you have? I have my own eyes and ears here. Rhaenyra has 3 of the largest battle-hardened dragons in the world, while our grandchildren have 2 young dragons and 1 docile, if large, beast.
There are ways of removing pieces from the board other than the outright battle. I meant it when I presumed that, despite your father, your children would sit the Iron Throne. Aegon will be king, and I will only remove those who would oppose my family.
Aegon had heard enough, combined with what Sarah had told him about Otto's friends in the Citadel and how often he would talk with the Grand Maester. It was very clear what was likely to happen. Otto was going to try and kill Rhaenyra and or Daemon. The prince's lips broke into a smile. This could be his chance, a chance for Aegon Targaryen to prove his quality. Careful not to let anyone know what he was doing, Aegon simply flies to
So a lot of people kind of say that, kind of hated the fact that made him into Rhaenyra's bootlicker in this, when it's just like, my thought process here is Aegon is actually being kind of clever because of the fact that, yeah, it is true. Being a pushover, yeah. Since one of the things that I wanted to do here is the fact that we have the what is it? Aegon is seeing, all right, here's a chance to really advance myself and secure my position and have, yeah, he's already unambitious. Even in the book, yeah, he would go after his kids, which is probably not likely to have happened, sadly. And sadly for Aegon, because Rhaenyra isn't to that point. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We stray further from critical thinking. Yeah, there was a whole thing where there's a whole, there's this complete idiot. Let me see. There's a guy on here that, let me see. Yeah. It's kind of a little thing where, it's kind of a video. Let me see. There's a guy that calls us the black-eyed theorist, and I honestly find him really, really funny. I honestly just think that he's a complete idiot. I know he did it on the God, he did it on this one too. Yeah, I think it was extremely dumb and unavoidable. Yeah. Yeah, the high blower imbeciles, yeah. This guy is, well, it's just this guy's an imbecile. Let me actually find it because let me see right here. I gotta find it because his comments weirdly have a way of vanishing. I don't really, let me find it because it's just this guy is a complete idiot. I honestly just think he's a moron. I just think he's a complete idiot. Like I just have no respect for this person. I don't think he's a serious person at all. Let me see. Can you go straight to comments? It's kind of a, yeah. I just kind of he just kind of shows up. And it's really, really amusing just how he is just kind of a moron. At least I think he's a complete moron. Like this guy. Let me just sign it really quick. So, maybe this will help me. I don't know. Let me see what other. Let me see, because maybe you can only do it on. Yeah, it's this guy essentially. Highborn. Yeah, I'm gonna call that one. Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, this. Let me actually see something, because let me see something. Let me see if I can. Since there's kind of a whole thing where he was like he's just kind of an idiot, and and one of the annoying funny things about it is yeah. Fire she blows. Yeah. Dinner show a twin brother. Yeah. That would be interesting. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I would like to do that one. That would be good. Let me check something. I think it was on the Daemon killing Aegon II at Harrenhal is the main one. One day, yes, probably next year. Probably next year. Sad. Probably sometime next year. Let me see, Daemon. Let me see, actually, because I think it's somewhere in here. Because is in here. Because it's honestly really amusing. Somewhere in here. Yeah, so it was a whole amusing thing. Let me find it because it's honestly like super amusing. Is it? It's gonna be on here somewhere. I just honestly find that comment really, really amusing to be said. Are people the Viserys abuse? Yeah, we up for it. Darren content. Yeah, I like. I kind of like the. He needs to be a major character. Yeah, I need to. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Yeah, for me, I really, really like the idea that Darren has a little crush on Tashara Lannister. Darren's fully aware that he's just that would be incredibly amusing. Let me see. Let me just find it because it's somewhere in here. Oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, yeah. So it's basically even a neutral story about Darren the Daring. The Greens make questionable and illogical decisions, like Aegon knowing with 6 dragons to kill Daemon and Rhaenyra. Bravo! It's like Daemon's in Harrenhal, you idiot. And Rhaenyra is incapacitated from a stillbirth. But yeah, this guy, I don't believe that this guy is a serious person because nobody takes that. Like, I honestly think that this guy's a crazy Green fan. Who do I sit? Please enjoy. I don't really have a preference for who should sit the Iron Throne. I think that the let me think. Oh, this one's interesting. Oh, this one was Aegon can't be the only gremlin in that family. Darren's just more tactful about it. Yeah, I think that would be funny. Though I think I haven't found this because this is kind of one of the weirdest things about it is let me see because there's kind of a weird thing where it kind of disappeared for some reason. Is I think that this guy got banned or something because I can't find his comments in this. But I think it's just he's like dead losers. Let me see. And Aegon became more dumb than your other videos where all he does is bootlicking to Rhaenyra and the Blacks. That's so funny. I'm like, yeah, it's like he legit thinks that it's hilarious. Moon Dancer would die from a fart from Vhagar and use at least one brain cell before your AI into your AI before you let your Black's choice get produced. So on side. Yeah, I honestly think this guy's an idiot. Idiot. I just think this guy's a complete idiot. But yeah, I like the idea of Darren the Daring and Tashara Lannister. I think that's a really cute pairing. But yeah, just to keep going. We're almost to kind of one of Groggy's favorite scenes. Fierce for his age. Yeah, my thought is Caraxes is a lot older and more experienced, and I just couldn't really think of like any way, since from my understanding, Caraxes is at least half again the size of Mr. Is at least half again the size of Sunfire, and would kill him somewhat easily. Would kill him like after a pretty good fight. I just couldn't think of a way to really make them logically fight against each other. Trial of 7, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, but this we're almost to one of Mr. Groggy's favorite scenes in these. Well, let's keep going.
Dragonstone and invites himself in. Rhaenyra is somewhat surprised and a little annoyed, but Aegon proves more responsible and courteous. No remarks about the strong boys. Rhaenyra starts wondering if something had happened to her brother in the Stepstones. Maybe he'd gotten hit in the head a few times. While keeping a jovial exterior, Aegon carefully watches the Dragonstone maester for any signs of duplicity. Nothing is evident at any point. No suspicious activity. Maybe he wasn't in on the conspiracy. That complicated matters. Who was truly and who wasn't? Wanting an ally in this fight, Aegon pulls Daemon aside and tells him that Lord Corlys would like to talk to him about Princess Sarah and her children.
Lucky Cash. Yeah, I'd probably. Yeah, it's just a spitball. Yeah, I think. Yeah, favorite character. That one's tough because I hate all of the characters. Sadly. Like I find a lot of the characters very. I kind of hate their characterization. I think I like Otto the best because he's not as stupid as the other characters. And he goes out before he's ruined. Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, and now we kind of have just a little bit of Aegon trying to propel himself higher in the world.
tilts his head and looks at his nephew with both suspicion and interest. What is your game, Aegon? No games. I just think you and your old friends might have some interesting things to talk about in regards to her. Daemon is about to continue questioning Aegon, but the younger man simply gives him a covert wink, then pats Daemon's hand, sliding a small note into his palm. Now, intrigued, Daemon accepts the note and reads it in a covert place. It was simply a reiteration that he needed to speak to the sea snake and that his position and wife were at risk. Unable to keep his curiosity at bay, Daemon flies south to the Stepstones on the pretext of taking stock of the war and visit his old friend, the sea snake. When he lands on Bloodstone, Corlys brings his friend inside to the castle and gives him the information that Aegon had told him about. Daemon raises his eyebrows at the reveal of Alicent being Sarah's bastard, snorting at the level of hypocrisy.
Do you think the Queen knows her dubious origins? If Otto told Alicent, Sarah did not know. Most likely not. Too many failure points. Oh, so I get to tell that scheming harridan that she is a bastard in front of her father. That is delicious. But what does Aegon get out of this? I assume he wants what you want. Power, influence, recognition. So we wait for the right time, or rather, use Rhaenyra as bait, perhaps impose upon my brother to invite her back to King's Landing. Then, when she's about to be killed, we grab the assassin and force him to give up his conspirators. It's their only way to victory at this point. With Vhagar on our side, and all of Alicent's children possessing a dragon at the peace, their only option is to try going directly for Rhaenyra. And of course, we should not tell her. Of course not. Should give the game away in a moment. Subtlety was never her strong suit. Mine either. But I suppose that's why we're well suited for each other.
With the scheme in place and the method agreed upon, Daemon and Corlys prevail upon Rhaenyra to request a spot in the small council in order to prepare for assuming the throne. Viserys is only too happy to indulge his daughter. Aegon also talks with Sarah, asking her to actually reveal and corroborate his story. Sarah agrees, but she has a price. Aegon reluctantly agrees. Now that the bait has been placed in the trap, Aegon simply watches and waits for the correct moment. Eventually, it comes when at a feast, the Grand Maester slips something into the Rhaenyra's glass while he thought no one was looking. When Aegon sees it, he stands up and raises both his cup and Rhaenyra's.
Today is a great day for House Targaryen, when I share my sister's cup in friendship.
Otto and Alicent's faces turn milk white while everyone else stares at Aegon like he was insane.
Yeah, this bit is the point where Aegon just gets to be a little annoying piece of crap, and I love writing so much. Yeah, watched at the Rock, love theater. Yeah, I honestly love writing. I need to write more of Jason Lannister. I haven't gotten the opportunity to write Jason Lannister very much because it doesn't fit with the story I'm telling. But I would like to write. This is where Aegon gets to be Tom Glencarney. Yeah, I really just liked writing this bit because I just find him funny. Because and he's just basically just acting like he just notices the cup, like he's keeping an eye on things, and then he just sees oh yay, and he just Otto. They described it as Otto's no good, very bad day. And Aegon is just acting like just acting weird, including getting the dates wrong and just kind of filibustering and drawing everybody's attention to it.
Rhaenyra gives him a strange look as he places his cup on the table and starts waving hers.
I also wish to honor my little brother Aemond's memory, especially since he died on this day 4 years ago. Aegon, that's not for another few months. Oh, really? I must have gotten it wrong. Well, either way, let me drink to my good sister's health, since clearly I'm in need of some alcoholic enlightenment.
Grinning in feigned stupidity, Aegon puts the cup to his lips. Before Aegon can drink, Otto smashes it out of his hand. Everyone stares at Otto in amazement, but the hand is focused only on his grandson. Aegon smiles and picks up the cup, then shakes it in front of his face.
Grandfather, did you want to steal my cup? Or did you wish to drink whatever the Grand Maester put in my sister's?
Everyone turns their gaze toward Otto. The hand shakes his head and looks around, clearly caught. Rhaenyra's eyes were deadly.
Did you just see the bend of burn where he's constantly? I have not. I think that would be very, very. That's probably very amusing. I would like to see that. I need to see that probably, but yeah, I need to adjust. It's gonna be in the back. Play them by life. Okay, I'm ready to skip by. Okay. Okay. But yeah, this is one of my favorite bits where Aegon is parlaying himself into greater power. A lot of people say he's being listful. It's just like he's advancing himself in the world by not doing something stupid. Like he gets a better life here than he doesn't get. Like a lot of people saying, I wanted to be king. And it's just like, are you dumb? Are you legit stupid? Like, are you dumb? What is wrong with you? Why do you think that is a good life for him? Like, has your brain been rotted by something? It's so frustrating. Oh wow, supervised school research. That actually sounds fun. But with this, I wanted to just have a little bit where Aegon just saves his sister. Yeah. And then just advances him, just thinks of and gets to say, what does she want? And I honestly am really excited about kind of talking about that, honestly.
While Daemon wraps his hand on Darksister's hilt, eager to use it.
Come on now, you clearly have something to say. What are you playing at, boy? Advancing myself, grandfather, like you were clearly trying to do. Otto, what's going on here? What did Melrose put in my daughter's cup? I don't know. Then why did you strike it out of my hand before I could drink it? Were you scared I didn't know it would kill myself? Or were you afraid you'd miss the target and reveal yourself?
Otto was trapped. There was no way out. He hadn't counted on the boy actually siding with his sister. Aegon turns to Viserys and bows.
Your Grace, I have some bitter news for you in regards to my mother's true parentage. May I present my real maternal grandmother, Sarah Targaryen?
All eyes turn towards Sarah, who simply tilts her head and shrugs before affirming the truth. Alicent's eyes bulge as she looks from Sarah to Otto, while the hand looks like...
I probably could have had a whole
Rhaenyra looked to be covering a smile with her hand, while Daemon simply smirked, until he regains his composure and tries lamely to defend himself.
This is some prank of your son, Your Grace. I never had carnal knowledge of that woman.
Was I so bold that you deny we were lovers, Otto, darling?
Also, what the hell is going on? Were you attempting to...
Yeah, there was a little funny bit where it was supposed to be, was I really so bad? But it was supposed to be, was I so bad that you denied that we were lovers? And I just had to toss that in there because I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And one of the things that I just felt like, yeah, I got to do it is I probably missed my shot to do this, sadly, because I had Aegon leave like really close after, but I probably could have had a conversation with Alicent, where she was like, "Why have you done this?" It's like power and influence, and but it kind of felt a little bit redundant since he had already had that conversation with Otto, and I feel like it just didn't feel like this it would have a point in this whole deal, so I decided to go for a different route and just have Aegon kind of dig into a lot of people had an objection to what's coming up next, and we'll talk about when we get there, but I just wanted to talk about Aegon and Rhaenyra's conversation. But I definitely wanted to just have this be just a funny moment where Otto is just taken down by a series of very, very, very classic annoying blunders.
Poison my child so you could allow your bastard daughter to steal the throne for her children. No, no, your grace. I am and always have been your loyal servant.
Oh, yes, you served him oh so well.
Guards, arrest the former hand and the Grand Maester.
Guards bearing the...
Yeah, I had to. I had to put the Bill Clinton. I did not have carnal knowledge of that woman in there because I was like, yeah, let's put that in there because that would be funny.
Blaring colors rush into the room and seize the conspirators to drag them to the dungeons. As they leave, Aegon raises a hand.
Father, if I may, I'd ask for some clemency for my grandfather. I would like to have his mind at my disposal, and I need him alive to make use of it. Wait, why? Your Grace, I think we should promise him his life and keep him as the Sea Snake's prisoner in the Stepstones, far from any agents he might have. I suppose that is fair enough of a request. Excellent. Now, I think you should name a new hand, and the Sea Snake is a good choice. You're asking quite a bit. Not really. I know one day I may be hand, but for now I would like to reward my good friend and mentor.
Casually, Aegon takes his leave and makes for the dragon shed. As he does, Sarah comes up next to him and slides her arm through his. When Sarah says she's proud of him, Aegon feels incredibly satisfied. With Corlys, his hand and Otto stripped of his position, and by his hand, his future was solidified. As he walks away, Rhaenyra walks up to him, looking confused. Sarah pats his arm and then walks away to give him some privacy.
Aegon, I'm confused. Why did you save my life? You could have just let me die and be named heir.
And that would benefit me how?
Rhaenyra stares at him as if he were speaking Dothraki. Aegon sighs and folds one arm across his chest and rests the other in his chin.
What is it you want, Rhaenyra?
I don't really see how that has any relevance.
All right, I'll clarify. Why do you want to be queen? Do you want to actually rule and administrate the workings of the realm, or do you just want to be queen for the sake of it?
Rhaenyra purses her lips and starts scrutinizing the floor as she places her fists on her hips. Finally, she looks up at him.
I want it because it was promised to me. They swore vows that they would support me, and Father declared that I would have the crown, so it should be mine.
And it shall be so. You shall have the throne and the honors thereof, but I would like...
Yeah, so one of the things that is interesting, and this was actually brought up in a couple of the comments, so I think I'll find them, was that they were, let me see, they were, a lot of people were like, so Rhaenyra is a bad person? I was like, yes. The only reason why Rhaenyra is not... Rhaenyra doesn't want the throne because she thinks she'll be a good queen. That never crosses her mind. And that's not really how people think. I want power and influence, and you can keep the sword hanging over your head. Yeah, Damocles. Yeah, and he's basically like, let me think. Let me see, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah, this one, great. this is hilarious. Even after killing Aegon, you made loyal Licksvilles and lackeys. Yeah, simply endlessly using the Blacksters, shields, and lights. Your series is more ridiculous than that. And yeah, that's honestly like, yeah, it's really funny that he thinks that way. He's clearly delusional and deranged. Let me think. Let me see. It's basically she cared about the prophecy, and she would go with the crop. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. The breed are all bad people. Aemon and Balin are the exceptions, and Aegon the Uncrowned. That's because three of them are. Yeah, yeah. One of the things they don't like is like only. I'm not doing. I said I am not doing the prophecy. That is not the reason why Rhaenyra wants it in canon. That's dumb. And that's the only reason why she wants the throne. She does own. So, and this one was really funny. Basically craps on. It's like, well, that's kind of the fun. Basically craps on Rhaenyra and justify all. She just wanted the crown because it was shining, but because she was killed, less of a character deconstruction. But it's like that's the reason why she wants it. She was promised it. That's the funny thing, and it's the Greens didn't care that Rhaenyra was entitled. That's not what they cared about. That's not what they cared about. They cared about. They just used the fact that she was a sexually promiscuous. That was their propaganda use against her. Yeah, yeah. Took the throne. It's only good as a thing of self-delusion. Yeah, I just think that the prophecy would have been lost with the death of Maegor because there was nobody to tell anybody, honestly. And the thought is like she thought she would be a good queen. I don't think that she would ever think that she was a good queen. I don't think she cared. To the Barrett, it's strip her away of any character. They need to strip her away of any character to the bear. Well, that's kind of what she is. It's like that's actually more interesting. That it's like I want it because it's my birthright. That's functionally Stannis, not because it's a duty, and that's kind of the idea is here that there isn't really, she doesn't have a reason beyond it was promised me. She doesn't even think that she'll be a good queen. There's no mentality of that. So I was just thinking, yeah, she wants it because it was promised to her. That's why. Yeah, Ares a second. Yeah, I'm down to believe that. Because there's no real way that what's his bucket? Jaehaerys would have found it out, honestly, and I don't think Jaehaerys would care. Jaehaerys was not that kind of person. He clearly didn't give a crap about prophecy, like at all. He didn't think it was important. He could explain some of his rampant sexism, doomed his dynasty by reading too many obscure books. It's hilarious. I love that. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, the only reason why Rhaenyra wants it is because she's entitled to it. That's the only reason she states it. Like, she doesn't believe she'll be a good queen. That's not the point. But yeah, it's kind of it's just kind of a weird. I was just like, yeah, that's who Rhaenyra is. She doesn't believe that she'll be a good queen because there's no concept of a good king or queen in Westeros. She just says, it is mine, therefore I shall have it.
To administer the realm as your hand when the sea snake finally passes. Would that be acceptable?
Why? Why do you want this?
Because I believe we could have an excellent partnership. If I run the realm, you can simply spend time with your children, indulging in the tourneys and balls and whatever you want, while I manage the Seven Kingdoms. You get all of the prestige, none of the difficult elements of ruling.
Ares the First. I don't know when. Yeah, and then kind of he discovers it, and nobody really cares about it until, and then Rhaegar is the person that cares about it. Yeah, I can't remember, when did he discover it? I can't recall. Let me see. Yeah, and you get all the blame. Yeah, yeah. And I also wanted earlier, I wanted a little setup of Sarah flying with Aegon and kind of having a really emotional moment of her, because it's one of the few. I actually like the idea that um, Sarah would be taken up into the air by Jaehaerys and have a family relation. Yeah, he was right to care about the prophecy. He unfortunately cared in the stupidest way possible. Yeah, and the problem is he didn't realize that. Oh, it's not my daughter. It's my little sister, and yeah, yeah. So many interesting things. So many bad things.
And I get a position commensurate with my service. Rhaenyra narrows her eyes and tilts her head. Finally, she nods in agreement. Aegon bows and then departs. Before he leaves, Rhaenyra puts her hand on his arm.
You shall see, big sister. I can promise that this shall be spectacular.
With a bow, Aegon departs. There was something that had to be done. Sarah's price had to be paid. Before he goes, he takes something from his father's rooms after requesting to borrow it. Blackfire. When Aegon holds the sword of his namesake, he feels like his arm is whole. They arrive on Dragonstone, and Sarah and Aegon walk past the Dragon Keepers. The prince remarking that his grandmother wished to see Vermithor. Unable to argue with the prince or his dragon, they let him pass. Vermithor's eyes open when he catches Sarah's smell. Baring his fangs, the old dragon prowls towards Sarah and lowers his head toward her. Smiling, Sarah sings to him in High Valyrian as she strokes him under the jaw.
It has been a long time, my old friend. Do you remember me? I haven't forgotten you.
Vermithor growls and nuzzles at her, causing Sarah to laugh with pleasure. As limber as a woman half her age, Sarah clambers onto the dragon's back and ties herself into the saddle. For the first time since the old king's death, Vermithor.
Yeah, so at this, probably, undoubtedly. One of the things that I did want to kind of do here is there's actually a joke, and I think it's the in Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funke, where there's this older lady climbed up onto a dragon's back, much more limber, and I like the idea of Sarah is in decent shapes, and she's only like mid 50s ish, somewhere around there. My thing is the maesters dismiss it, and generally when the maesters dismiss something magic, it happened. That's been my approach to the history books, where if they dismiss something magic, it's very much true, like as we see with the White Walkers and Warg stuff, where if you look at the world book versus the actual story that we find out when Bran talks to Bloodraven, it's pretty much a one-to-one contradiction. And I did like the idea of Sarah claiming Vermithor, because I really like the idea of her just claiming the dragon and her having a special relationship with Vermithor. Yeah, well, I think part of the thing is the one thing that George actually screwed up is that there are dragons in Ashai, that there are dragons that still exist, and that supposedly the dragon eggs came from Ashai, and then he retconned it to be a lie and they're Illyssa Farman's eggs, though then Fire and Blood, and though then Howdy retconned it again to say they're Rhaenyra's eggs because they want to glaze Rhaenyra because they are dumb, and they want to just continually glaze Rhaenyra. It's so frustrating. But kind of, since there are still dragon eggs in the world, and really, it's just George throwing crap at her dad, which is, yeah, she would probably be tough enough to face Vermithor. And I think that there would be kind of an element of, she'd be like, "Hey, old friend, you remember me?" He's like, "Yes, I remember you." And I just like that idea of Sarah and having that connection, especially since I think that since Jaehaerys was thinking a lot about Sarah when he died, I think that Vermithor would remember that and think, oh, Sarah, I remember you. I just like that idea.
Rises into the air, roaring out his challenge. Aegon grins and mounts Sunfire, following after. Sarah laughs as she and Vermithor fly through the sky, his gigantic wings propelling him towards the west. Together, they fly around each other, Sunfire swirling around his much larger companion. After flying for a few hours, they land near the fork of the Mander. Sarah dismounts Vermithor and puts her arm around Vermithor's jaw.
I feel that so much time was lost when I could have had this joy, the two of us together as one.
Well, I was hoping that we could put that old monster to use.
I have trained you well, my young student. Where shall we go?
The stepstones are in our control, and the three daughters are weakened. That leaves one horizon that would be the most advantageous to hold.
The Basilisk Isles. Now that is ambitious. That's quite the task.
Not with you, me, and Daeron together, and the Hightower army. With that, we can control the shipping lanes and start increasing trade from the Far East here. We could rebuild some of the old Valyrian cities, create harbors and ships.
Slow down, Aegon. Don't let your ambition exceed your reach.
When Daeron and Sunfire see Vermithor arriving, he flies out to meet the dragons on Tessarion. Once they land, Aegon slips off Sunfire, followed by Sarah.
Yeah.
Daeron tilts his head when the older woman opens her.
Yeah, they went back. I don't know if they did. Let me see. Did they? Where did Dany's eggs come from in Howdy? So I think 4 dragon eggs. Okay. So some of the directors said that it was hers. Sea Lord of Bravos. So there's also there's a weird thing. There's also a weird thing where they brought up that there was a clutch laid by Dreamfire and Harrenhal, which why not? There's also the egg that the Whitehall egg, which is nowhere. We don't know where that is. So yeah, I honestly don't know, but I remember that there was some comment that was like, "Oh, these are Daenerys' eggs," because it's just like off camera or something. That I don't know if they ever walked it back. I don't think they did. But yeah, they don't. Yeah, I honestly feel like they're really dumb. Like, I don't know. Even the writers don't believe them. It's so frustrating, these people. But with this, I just said, hey, let's just have Aegon be ambitious, and him saying, hey, let's go off together. Let's do some, and him chatting with going out to see Daeron. And I really, really loved writing this conversation, honestly, between the two, because I just found it really funny.
Arms toward him.
Come here, give your old granny a hug.
What? I thought...
What? Don't think I look like your grandmother?
No. You just don't look old enough to be anyone's grandmother.
He's such a nice boy, and a shameless flatterer. I think I'll keep him.
Daeron allows Sarah to give him a motherly hug, returning it awkwardly. After Sarah has greeted Daeron properly and told him everything, Aegon forestalls any further outbursts of shock by getting to the point.
Daeron, I have a quest in mind to ensure both our futures. You, me, and Sarah are going to go south to the Basilisk Isles and take them. Are you insane? No, you are insane. There have been many attempts to take the Basilisk Isles and have all failed. But they didn't have dragons. So you coming? Come on, baby brother. You have to be itching for adventure. Cooped up here. I hate it when you call me that. For your information, I am actually very happy here. Studying history, learning my courtesies, sailing, hunting. That all sounds dreadfully boring compared to what I'm offering. Your idea of exciting isn't my idea of fun. In that case, we shall challenge that. You're going to badger me about doing this, aren't you? Precisely.
After the news of the matter of Otto being removed as hand.
Yeah, so with this one, I just said, there's a couple of bits. One where Daeron is... I actually like... one of my favorite running jokes in the Millennium is actually this Sylphrena. Well, no, not Sylphrena. Sylphrenia and Afriel constantly remarking about certain characters being, he's such a nice boy. And I thought, let's just throw it into shameless flatterer. I think I'll keep him. And just Daeron going like, wait, what? And when Sarah says, hey, give Granny a hug, and he's like, what? He's like, what? You don't think I look like your old granny when she's trying to just mess with him? Because that's one of the things I like doing with Sarah, is that even an old Sarah would be like, yeah, I just want to mess with people. And I just very much enjoy doing that kind of thing. uh, uh, but yeah, I really like writing that, and Darren just displaying that he's clever and courteous, and saying, "No, you just don't look old enough to be anybody's grandmother." Aw, you age this well. I definitely made a choice. So oh, that's funny. And and she just said, and I just like the idea of her. Darren promptly straightens his back to their oh, that's funny. That's funny. I love that. That's hilarious. And she goes, "Yeah, you don't." I think she's still kind of like probably would look like pretty good in her to her old age, but he's like, "No, you just." I think he's just kind of lying through his teeth. Um, 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 and I just like the kind of it's actually a carryover joke where Aegon would in the Rhaenyra becoming hand he calls Aemond little brother, and Aemond hates that, and so he says that yeah, he'd definitely be doing stupid. He definitely do stupid things to look good in front of a girl he likes. If you age, well, my question is, if you age this well, is that about Sarah or somebody else? But yeah, but yeah, I like the idea of him saying, of Aegon saying, "Come on," saying he said to Aemond, "Come on, little brother." It's like, I hate it when you call me that. Tell me that. Be glad I don't call you baby brother anymore because Darren's the baby now. And so I just thought, hey, let's just carry that over and have Aegon call Darren baby brother, and Darren really hating it and saying, "Hey, I am very happy here. Why would you?" Oh yeah, Sarah. Yeah, it's as well as Sarah. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I do think that Sarah does look like she's. Like kind of an attractive 50-year-old, like I guess the closest comparison I could think of was say maybe like Kate Blanchett or Helen Mirren. That would kind of be my thought of how she ages, considering like Valyrians are kind of alien people. But yeah, he would. Yeah, I just really like the idea of Aegon and having just kind of saying, "Hey, come on," and she started with the teen heartthrob and ended up with the sore fox. I love that. Yeah. And I just wanted to have a little bit here where Darren is like, "I am actually very happy here. Thank you very much." He's like, "No, come on. It'll be fun. Your idea of fun and mine are not." And I do like putting in the little, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, should be thinking, oh, I get a cute guy. Yeah. And that's why I kind of did the whole like she kind of just wants to wear like daring like saucy dresses because her family's conservative, probably fairly conservative. And I was just like, yeah, let's yeah. But yeah, and then we kind of get to the wrap up.
And is brought before Lord Ormond. He accepts the scheme when he sees Vermithor will be on their side and that they'll need to repair the damage done by Otto. A portion of the Hightower army, along with thousands of sellswords, second sons, and small folk looking to improve their lot, sign up to join the Sunfire Company. When the fleet arrives at the Isles, the inhabitants prepare to fight until 3 dragons descend from the sky. Vermithor's roar causes the corsairs to tremble in fear. Some attempts to sail away, but Sunfire circles them and forces them back. After the pirates are sufficiently cowed, Aegon spreads his hands magnanimously.
My fine, slightly disreputable friends, I'm not here to kill you, I'm here to help you. I'd like to create an actual civilization here, give you all resources to use rather than living in ruins, or in huts that you piece together with scraps. I shall also give you riches beyond your wildest dreams, as we use the entire east of Essos as our pillaging ground. You have lived in squalor here for long enough. Would you like to be brought into the new age?
The pirates roar out their approval, and Aegon sends his troops and other craftsmen into the shantytowns, ruined cities, and small settlements. Together they move into Sithorius and cut down the trees with the help of the dragon.
Yeah, I can imagine that she would be like, if she just described like little bits and pieces of what she wants to do with him that evening, she would be like, I like this plan. This is a good plan. Yeah, I like that. I like that where he's like a super shy kid. Like he's able to fight, Yeah, especially said wife is a pretty beautiful Lannister teenager with like super golden hair. Yeah, I think I like that idea. But I also I do like the idea that Johanna Lannister has dark hair, since the Westerlings have kind of brownish hair. And that's kind of the and like he would just kind of like basically be with the prom queen. I honestly really like that idea. Or I do think though there would be kind of a funny thing if what would be super funny is if Darren had a crush on Sam Tarly, on Samantha Tarly. It's Sam Tarly's kind of a freak. Like Samantha Tarly is a freak. It's really funny. 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 Probably a theater kid. That would be funny. I love it. That would be funny. I need to put that in somewhere.
To form larger buildings and ships, while they work on establishing a strong.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's interesting that they use this thing image for the Basilisk Isles because it's probably not accurate. Where they have these little civilizations everywhere. I do like the idea of rather than kind of Aegon just kind of wiping them out, he just says, "Hey, how about I up your standard of living?" And they're like, "All right, we're down. Thank you." He's like, "All right, let's do this."
Kingdom in the Basilisk Isles, Aegon, Serra, and Daeron start riding into the Far East with their navy, focusing particularly on any triarchy trade ships. Soon, the trade from his free cities, save for Valentis and Pentos, dry up as whispers of 3 dragons and a fleet of Westerosi pirates spread through the captains. With their trade curtailed, the triarchy sends emissaries to Viserys, begging for peace, if only to restore their trade. Viserys sends word to Aegon, who stops attacking the triarchy ships, instead imposing a toll on any ships from those cities. Rapidly, the Basilisk Isles become a place where the men make their fortunes, wealth flowing in from both sides of the ocean. One day, Aegon and Daeron are sitting on one of the mountains with their dragons, looking down at the kingdoms they built while sipping on a bottle of Dornish red they acquired a few weeks back.
I didn't think you could do it. Ye of little faith. It was more that I knew you, at least before Aemond. Yes, that changed me. I felt like I couldn't simply sit around and do nothing. My life was too short to simply fade away into the long goodbye. Well, history will remember you. Do you intend to stay here forever? No. I mean to become Hand of the Queen at some point. Allow our sister to simply idle herself with what she's actually interested in, as opposed to the bureaucratic bits. And the Basilisk Isles will go to you, baby brother. You're my heir, and that's how it's going to stay. And if I have a son, you and I can go find somewhere to make him your new kingdom. Well, Aegon, I'm honored. I have been meaning to ask. I met T'Challa Lannister at a tourney, and say no more, baby brother. Go win your lady. Take a ship with you and fill it with enough gold and jewels to make for a dowry. Even Jason Lannister won't refuse.
Daeron blinks, then clasps his brother's hand and flies off. Aegon puts his feet up and smokes his hashish pipe. Wonderful stuff. You should get more next time they went to ET. After Daeron and T'Challa Lannister are married and return to the Basilisk Isles, Viserys dies, and Rhaenyra ascends the Iron Throne. When Corlys...
Yeah, so isn't demonized by modern, especially those. Yeah, it's actually interesting that I think probably it's that Jaehaerys and Alysanne were the Basilisk Autumn Mansion. Yeah, it seems as though Visenya, admittedly though, Visenya becomes a name for boys, not girls. There are no female Visenyas after Visenya dies, aside from Rhaenyra's dead kid. But I imagine that if Rhaenyra had a kid, especially a kid with Daemon, that kid would carry on her special genes. It's interesting to think about. But with this one, at the end of that scene, I just wanted to have a little cap where Aegon talks about the yeah, they could, but I think they just want to do Maegor, mainly because they view Maegor as the king, and therefore he's the power behind the throne, the real power. So, and then after that we have wouldn't it be an exaggeration with the stuff they did in Dorne? Yeah, I would agree with that. But with this scene, I just had Daeron and Aegon like kind of saying, hey, kind of recapping, I guess, the theme and reiterating kind of Aemond. And one of the things I wanted to do with this is have Aemond's death hang over pretty much all of the proceedings, where Aemond's death invigorates Um, where we have Aemond's death affects Aegon and Helena and makes Aegon just going like, "Hey, no, life is short," and then we have the little bit of uh, shank Aemond, where we have that little scene where uh, yeah, well, up from Pishul, yeah. But I wanted to, with the little bit where Sarah pays her little respects. Yeah, not the intended moral of the story, yeah. Where um she puts the like I just kind of made it up where they have just that little moment to pay the respects to Aemon's where he died. Where she just puts her hand on the ground and kind of, since I made it up that her sons died in the war with the Triarchy, since I felt like, yeah, that actually would be something that could logically happen. It would be something that would deeply affect her and probably would change her for the better, because you'd see like, oh, life is short and all of that. And just have that little scene where they're talking about Aemond and why he's been inspired to just kind of take his life into his own hands and try to improve his lot in life. That's kind of my thought process, at least. And just from there, it ends up being a good existence for him. And then I just had to put in the bit where he says, "Hey, go off, little brother. Go win your lady. Go fill it with enough treasure and stuff." And then he just sits back and smokes a hashish pipe. There was actually a very amusing joke from our editor, Groggy. He's like, "I can totally picture Aegon being a stoner." And I just, that I like carrying that little joke over from Aegon, from the Aegon and the Rhaenyra and his sons. Rhaenyra's sons being fathered by Laenor, where he says, "Are you?" What David says, "Are you smoking that?" "Yes, it's called hashish. Wonderful stuff." he would just love that stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, let's just toss that in there again," because I love that joke, and now we kind of have this final capper scene.
Valerian retires from his post as Hand. The Queen sends word to Aegon, inviting him to come home to serve as Hand of the Queen. Before Aegon departs, he visits Sarah. The years finally catching up with her.
I'm so proud of you, my boy. You have exceeded all my expectations, and now you shall be the real power behind Rhaenyra. I wish that I was strong enough to travel, so I might see you rule. Your father must be spinning in his grave right now.
I imagine he is, grandmother. Take care of Daemon and Tashara for me. Teach them all you taught me.
Oh, I shall. He's a sweet boy. I'm glad he and the Lannister girl are so well matched. He deserves it. You should think about finding a girl of your own at some point.
Maybe someday. We'll see. For now, I'm content to rule at my sister's side.
I seem to remember that the Lady of Highgarden is a widow about your age. Perhaps you should marry her. I imagine she would appreciate having a dragon rider of your caliber to support her son's claim. I just want to know that you're going to be happy, my boy.
I am happy, grandmother. I have all I want. Riches, power, glory. What more could I want?
The joy that is only shared between two souls joined together by passion and love. The feeling of holding your child that you made in your arms. Write to me when you get married, and visit me when you can, please. And when you and whatever lady you wed have a child, come and see me so that I can hold them myself.
Aegon nods and kisses.
Yeah, I feel very good about this little moment here where Aegon has that little this sweet little moment with his grandma where she's like saying, "Hey, there's a little bit more to life and than just what you have." Yeah. Yeah, I actually really like the idea of, well, kind of the thing is there's the part of the problem is the Tyrells during the Dance of the Dragons is super minimal. It's very frustrating. Lionel Tyrell is an infant, and he is yeah, older Sarah is wonderful, but is actually kind of funny to write, where she still has that like spiciness to her, like she likes making people uncomfortable, but she's kind of mellowed out in her old age and is less like less less crazy. But the lion, one of the funnier things is that we don't really have a whole lot of information about the Tyrells, since the Lionel Tyrell was an infant, and his mom, we don't know anything about his mom. His mother's unnamed. And even though we don't know much about him, the only thing is he had, according to Oberyn Martell, yeah. Oh yeah, that's why one of the theories behind that is that it was Viserys trying to make it so that they had no political alliances, and to support Rhaenyra, and that was one of the few things he did that actually did support Rhaenyra, besides ruling on her behalf. So Tyrells couldn't weasel out of the dance. Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it would have. Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted that kind of little bit of her advising him, as well as kind of saying, "Hey, there's this lady," and that she's one of the few ladies that I can imagine would be around Aegon's age, since she's a widow and has an infant son. So, yeah, they're too tightly bound to the Velaryons. Yeah, yeah.
Sarah's forehead before leaving her to rest. Sunfire shifts from foot to foot, then flings himself into the air. It was time for Aegon to rule. That's our theory. Westeros is...
Yeah, so that's kind of the conclusion. I honestly really liked writing this one. It was kind of an element of, I didn't really know where else to really take this. Where essentially being divorced. Yeah, totally. Yeah, seeing who could marry the right families first. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of like was like, once he takes the Basilisk Isles, I'm like, story's pretty much over. There's nothing really to be done anymore. It's just kind of, he's won. It's just legalities are ruling. We don't need to see all that. Yeah, Boros Baratheon, yeah. Where Aemond, and even that is kind of like funny because they just forget about it. They totally forget about it, and Aemond never ever really does anything. It's really, really funny. It's honestly like really, really amusing. But yeah, Aemond goes over there and just gets him on side by saying, "Hey, I'll marry one of your daughters," and then promptly it's forgotten about and never talked about. But yeah, that's kind of it. I think that I've got to get going. I have some stuff that I need to get done. But I'll leave you with one of, I like to think, I don't know if Boros cared. I don't think he cared. I don't think he really cared. I think he just quietly says, "I am not getting involved with this. I'm just gonna hunt vulture kings and then come in when the dragons are all dead, and I don't have to worry about another field of fire situation. But yeah, I think this took a lot longer than I anticipated. I was thinking this would be quite a bit shorter, but anyway, I will see you all later. Adios.
Just look. What do you see?
A man. Fucking a horse.